My name is Zach. I'm your cult boyfriend. Today we're talking about the 1991 comedy, Career Opportunities. Written by John Hughes, directed by Brian Gordon, the film stars Jennifer Connelly and Frank Whaley as two youths who spend the night in a Target. I think the film is of interest because it's a wonderfully accidental but nonetheless a potent expression, amplification, and possibly an exploration of end stage capitalism. The film isn't really interested in plot, and I'm not really interested in the plot of the film either. What drives the film, the momentum of the film, is the fantasy, the inherent, intrinsic fantasy of being locked inside of a department store, of a Target overnight with your teenage wet dream. That's the point of the film. That's what the film is about. I don't mean to marginalize Jennifer Connelly's character here, but the film does that for me, with or without my input. We could analyze her character. She's a dispossessed character, incredibly disenchanted, objectified, and she's trying to find meaning in a world that constantly alienates her and treats her as a beauty commodity or a sexual one. And she ends up playing into those erotic roles because that's the only way that she could get any sort of reaction from the hypocritical patriarchs around her. So there is something to her character, I guess. But ultimately, what her character is a fantasy for all the young boys watching this film. The film is about a 21-year-old pathological liar, a loser, who ends up getting a job as an overnight janitor at his local Target. And Jennifer Connelly is the same age. She's also 21. She's kind of an indecisive shopper, I guess, if we want to apply that sort of bizarrely Marxist archetype to her. But they end up spending the night together there. And of course, there are robbers. There's all sorts of hijinks they get into, including sex, including romance, including trying to bear their all to each other, including roller skating and having fun. So personally, there's like a certain amount of comfort I get from going to the mall. And I know that it's disturbing and I know that I shouldn't get it, but that the color scheme, it compliments me every single time that I see it. I know that everything is designed within a department store or within a mall to keep me consuming more, to keep me shopping more. Um, that consumerism has conditioned me into viewing um, tokens of alienation with a sense of relief and comfort, satisfaction and validation. And I love going to the mall. I love spending time there. And I definitely would share this fantasy of being stuck in a department store and just, camping out, rollerblading, making out with really hot brunette girls. Who wouldn't have this fantasy, especially considering that the world that Career Opportunities shows us, of course, is a comedic and farcical one, but it's also I think it's so on point that it really hits on the absurdities of the Marxist theme of late stage capitalism. The world is so absurd, alienation is so inherent that it's a given. Our two stars here, they try to liberate themselves the only way that they know how, by appropriating the commodification of their own existence by running around a Target and just fucking each other and going on a rollerblade ride and lying and grinning and joking and escaping. Career Opportunities does not do this. I don't think it does this deliberately. I don't think it deliberately sets out to express like a Marxist ideology. Not really. I think it mostly is a wish fulfillment or just a fantasy. Uh we could all be lucky enough to be with her. And by the way, the white tank top that she's wearing certainly belongs. I hope that it's being cared for and looked after. I hope that it's in a museum because the way that it fit her, it's one of the sexiest shirts I've ever seen on film. Jennifer Connelly, you truly were and still are a goddess of sorts, and you perfectly fit this role as the kind of distraction from the Alienation of end stage capitalism. You are the dream, the liberating quality, the violently liberating quality, and the passionately determined one. But no, the film did not set out to do these things deliberately. It's just trying to be a funny, fun kind of comedy directed at bored and aimless and existentially adrift young males. And but the fact that it just feels so natural that of course who wouldn't want to be locked inside of a Target of all places with a girl you secretly have a massive crush on, and so does the entire town, right? Like, who wouldn't want to be at the center of consumerism with the epoch, the zenith of teenage sexual awakening. Like, who, I guess, who wouldn't want to be there for that? It's kind of the best place for these kinds of poetic coming of age exercises. There's really no maturity to speak of, not really. You could say that courage is found. It's not exactly a good film, but if I'll watch Jennifer Connelly rollerblade around and a closed target until the end of time. Please, I'll watch Jennifer Connelly ride one of those silly mechanical horses. I'll watch that for 10 hours if it were available for me to consume. I would absolutely watch it. So like, in my book, it's fine, and it's truly cinematic because Jennifer Connelly is obscenely hot, but compositionally there's not much there. John Hughes, his writing, it does have its charms, but it's more Home Alone than it is Pretty in Pink, okay? There's not actually a whole lot of substance to the film itself when we're talking about the deliberate form that it's presented in. The accidental revelations, though, are that the early 90s teenage condition, or not even teenage condition, the young adult mentality, philosophy of the early 90s was possibly one of the most alienated ones in recent history. These kids are so desperate. The film can be charming. The film can have its humor, but what the film has that I think is really incredible are these moments of tenderness and sensitivity of Jennifer Connelly dancing in the music section and Frank Whaley watching from a separate aisle, and then he starts to dance, and they're not necessarily dancing together, they're dancing within different aisles, different levels of the alienation that end stage capitalism is rife with, and they're dancing through it, and there is a connection, but there is a disconnect at the same time, for they are not actually dancing together. But it's the best that they can do in a world where alienation is all consuming, and those kinds of moments are beautiful. Those kinds of moments are tragicomic, I think, in the most politically powerful sense, in the idea that it's unassuming and it's unavoidable, it's truthful, right? I think Career Opportunities is a really interesting film. I think that everyone should experience it because for the fantasy that it's going for, it just feels so right in our hellish dystopic kind of capitalist universe. It feels so like I desire that too. That's like the best case scenario. It's weird that the best case scenario isn't like, to me, to a severely alienated person. It's not becoming a superhero or even becoming instantly wealthy. It's just the idea of being trapped inside of a mall or a department store with a girl that I'm really attracted to. I am so alienated that I will settle for that, and that in and of itself would be lyrical, would be musical, and I'd be dancing forever, high off of the fumes of that one evening for the rest of my life. This is really a precursor to that kind of idea. Dawson's Creek had a beautiful episode that came late in the series where Pacey and Joey were locked inside of a department store and they camp out and watch TV and kind of talk about their past and where they stand with each other romantically, if anywhere. The OC had a wonderful episode like this where our core four of Marissa and Ryan, Seth, and Summer were locked inside of a mall and they play hockey and then they camp out as well. It's this idea of camping within and camping in an absurdly settled and designed environment, camping within the alienation. It's the closest facsimile of frontier life that you could have when the frontier has been just completely taken away from you. And I think that there is a truthfulness in that. I mean, if you're a child born after 1990, you were born in end stage capitalism, and you need to make the best with the tools of alienation that you have. And somewhere you can go so deep inside of the core of alienation that you could set up a tent in there, and you can watch bad movies, and you can have awkward sex, and it is a pure moment within alienation. Because we're so far into it now that there really is no true liberation, and I don't even know if I desire that because I can't actually actualize it in the first place. All I want is a cute girl in a tight tank top to go rollerblading with me through the mall at night alone. That to me is postmodern romance. Postmodern romance at its most affectionate. And there's a lot to love about career opportunities. And I think it's really important simply for its visuals, simply for the 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 surprisingly comedic poetry of its sensitivities. And I mean, Frank Whaley does the best that he can with what he's given, and he's very good. Jennifer Connelly, she can do no wrong in roles like these, when she's meant to be um, the object of want, of desire, of attraction. Because within something like career opportunities, where alienation does seem to be the watchword, objectified or not, it it's defined. And when you live in an alienated world and you don't feel like you have any actual definition, even the idea of being completely objectified, at least you have a reason to you. Um, your spiral has an actual momentum, and it's moving in a certain direction, and you want to be inside of her orbit. That's how far end stage capitalist alienation has fucked all of us up. But at the end of the day, find you a person that you can kiss and just forget about all that shit. Go to Target and eat a fucking hot dog and ride one of those silly mechanical horses. Because that's the closest thing to freedom we'll ever get. So, do you want to make tea at the BBC? Do you want to be? Do you really want to be a cop? Career opportunity, the one that never knock. I can't believe that the Clash song, classic Clash song, Joe Strummer rolling over in his grave. Maybe they asked if they could put career opportunities, the song in the film career opportunities, and they declined, because the Clash just didn't get it, bro. I don't know. It'd be a perfect song for the film. It doesn't make any fucking sense because a large part of it is also how opportunity is completely doesn't exist. In a world full of compromises, you need to welcome the unexpected, especially if it's wearing a tank top like that. And it's absurd to even think that we should feel satisfied unless we're in perpetual motion. That's it. It's the only way to feel completely satisfied is by rejecting everything that is alienating, which is everything. So you're constantly on the move, like these characters are. They leave. They leave their small town. Thank you for watching me. I'm your old boyfriend talking about career opportunities. We're gonna end it now. I think I've said enough. I think I've said more than enough, to be honest. Thanks.